I'm curious to see what you guys think. Hack, I'm going to go with you first on this one.
Yeah.
So, your alma mater, my dark horse, last week, Penn State goes to Iowa, handling business. The starter gets knocked out. They battled scratched. Iowa pulls away with it and jumps to number 2 in the country. And I kept thinking all week, where are all the other programs where Iowa can get up to 2? So Purdue comes into town this week. I'm sure all the tailgaters had all their finest meats and cheeses. We're going to knock these guys out and get on the number 1. And it goes the other way. Your impressions of Jeff Brom, Purdue, they used a 2-quarterback system today, and it wasn't even close.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. I love that Aiden O'Connell kid. I think his story, walk on, grinding. I think the guys play for him, and he played fantastic today. Ultimately, it just goes back to everything that I've said about Iowa up until this point. I think offensively, they're not built to ever be in a track meet with anybody.
No.
Defensively, Riley Moss wasn't playing. They had another corner go down, so the secondary got a little thin. And David Bell took advantage of it. And when you are the number 2 team in the country, in my eyes, you can't be that deficient on one side of the ball as they are. And I'm speaking of their offense. And I think Purdue was the first team this year to go in there, play sound, not shoot themselves in the foot, and keep slugging. And they were able to get up, and Iowa was never able to fast track back because they weren't in control. They didn't control the narrative. They can't offensively. They're not built to be able to get back into that position. They have to be in that position from the jump. If they are, they're going to be in it. But if you start pulling away, you hit them in the mouth 2 or 3 times, they don't have the explosiveness to do it. There's such a strong dependency on their run game and manufacturing shots off of play action to create explosives because they can't create a ton of separation on the outside. That was just the story of the game. And it's a huge, huge tip of the cap to Purdue. They just didn't shoot themselves in the foot, came in with a great plan and executed.
TK, when you've been on all sides of the spectrum, you both have. You've been on all sides of the spectrum. You've been a giant slayer. You've been the giant and been knocked out. You're in the Iowa football building. You're number 2 in the country at the halfway pole. You can see the finish line, and you're in front of Alabama. You're in front of Clemson. You're in front of the group of 5. I mean, the whole, what do we call those guys? The five families. You're in front of 4 of the 5 families. At 2, home against Purdue. How devastating. And you're healthy. At home, how devastating is this in Iowa City tonight, no matter what role you play in that football program?
It's incredibly devastating. And I'll relate it to my senior year when we were at Texas A&M. Very similar start, right? Had a bunch of big wins on the road in the SEC to get the year going. We were 6-0. We go to Alabama, lose, but we come back and beat like New Mexico State or something. So we're 7-1 going to the first college football playoff rankings of the year. They put us at number 4. That just hadn't happened in a while around Texas A&M, right? Similar to this situation. I think that a lot of guys, myself included, in the locker room were so excited for that that we lost sight just ever so slightly of the task at hand. And we go to Mississippi State, who that year was the bottom team in the West, and absolutely lay an egg. Lose, end up 8-5 season, completely derailed. You know, you go from hero to zero very, very quickly. And that's what you saw in this game. And I'll just say this, Hack, you mentioned it a little bit, but you throw 4 interceptions, you turn the ball over that much, you're not going to win football games. I mean, that goes back to Pee Wee, right? Yeah. Take care of the football, run high and tight, and don't throw it to the other team. As simple football 101 as it gets. I don't think they were bigger than the moment. To me, watching some of the highlights, right, it just looked like one of those nightmare type games like we had at Mississippi State, where it's like you almost blink and the game's over and you just could never find your footing. So tough break there for Iowa. We'll see how they respond. I hope they respond better than we did that year and go and kind of win some games down the stretch. But it is certainly a possibility to completely derail what could be a really special season for your program.
Go ahead.
I will say this too. It was the perfect example of a trap game as well. I mean, you come off a huge win against Penn State. Everyone's up. Purdue rolls in.
Rush the field.
Yeah, it was almost too perfect of a setup when you talk just classic trap games, and they fell into it. And I think just to piggyback off what you were saying, Trevor, for Iowa, they have everything in front of them still. I mean, the West in the Big Ten is not very strong. They're still going to have a chance to go play in the Big Ten championship game, and we were kind of talking about this before the show. As strong as the East is in the Big Ten, whoever wins the Big Ten is going to the college football playoff.
And Hack, to your
so
point,
they still got a shot.
There isn't another Big Ten West team ranked in the top 40. No. So there's 5 Big Ten teams ranked in the top 10, which at home is the first time ever. 23 times it's been like that with the SEC, just for those who go back and forth. 23 times the SEC has held half of the top 10 spots. This year, this moment right now, is the first time the Big Ten has had 5. 4 of those are in the Big Ten East. So to Hack's point, Iowa holding it at 2, renting it at 2, is the only team on that side. Nebraska in the wilderness. Minnesota, mouthpiece knocked out. Northwestern can't really stand up. Illinois, no fight, no dog. Like, go all through that whole side of the conference. It's like, It's just pavement on that side, mountains on the east side, and then there we are. Go ahead, Hack. I just wanted to just illuminate that point.
No, I mean, there's you did a perfect job. It's middle America. All those programs struggle recruiting because they are competing with those mountains on the east who have access to the same recruiting pools. And I don't know who wouldn't want to go to Ohio State or Michigan or Penn State or Michigan State, as opposed to going out and hanging out in the middle of Iowa. You know what I mean? So, it's tough. And that side, I think it plays into Iowa's favor to be able to recover a little bit better than your situation, Trevor, being down in the SEC. But it's a little bit different.
That being said, you look at our season that year, and granted, we still had LSU on the calendar, and they were great that year. We ended up losing that game. But prior to that, I got hurt in that Mississippi State game. We played my guys down in San Antonio, UTSA, and beat them by like 8 points at home.
Yeah.
And then we host a very, very pedestrian Ole Miss team. Shea Patterson plays his first football game of his career and looks like Johnny Football out there, beats us at home. And it was just a stunner. So to my point earlier, yes, do they have an opportunity to still get back on track, win their side of the conference, win the conference as a whole, go to the playoff? Absolutely. Those conversations were had with us too, but they can very easily also get derailed and send this thing straight into the toilet if they don't watch it. Right.
So there was a hero today in Iowa City. It was a warlord who went in there from the edge. Very oftentimes can you see a receiver take over a game. David Bell did do that. So first, let's just raise a toast to David Bell, wherever you are. We hope you into something fantastic, sir. But our own Christian Hackenberg had a chance to visit with the game hero after the game today. Let's take a look.
All right, dude, keep it light, keep it easy. So listen, man, first off, how you guys feeling? Massive for you guys. I think it's really good for the program. So how you guys feeling? Talk me through it.
We're feeling great. We owe this win to the program, not only the program, but obviously the university as a whole. They stuck behind us through the tough losses that we had through these past years that I've been here. And this is for the fan base. Right.
That's huge. So, and then you obviously had a huge game. You had a big day. Kind of talk me through that. What was clicking? I'm a huge fan of your quarterback. I think the kid's really special. So talk to me about that. What was clicking? What was going on for you guys today, specifically with you and him?
I think we were just locked in together. Earlier this week we watched film together to see what the defense was doing, and trying to pick up on some signals. But I just think that we both wanted to win, and it showed today.
Right. So the other thing is I've done a deep dive and I've talked about how beatable Iowa is and kind of the keys to beating them. Take me through this week. What was your preparation like? What was the coaching staff preaching about? Maybe some tendencies or some opportunities that you guys could exploit that ultimately led to you guys having a big game?
I think the number one thing was just ball control, not turning over the ball, because obviously they had 16 interceptions. They created a lot of turnovers. So that was just the main focus throughout the week, was taking care of the ball and scoring in the red zone. The past few weeks we weren't able to score in the red zone, but we knew that we could move the ball on them. We just knew that we just have to play our game and take all the easy shots when they're available and try not to force anything.
Right. That's awesome. All right. So what's the locker room like, man? Your boy, I saw your boy Greg Long got a head start. What courtesy of some of those Iowa fans. They threw him a Bud Light on the field. So what's it like? How are the guys feeling? What are you guys feeling now?
We feeling phenomenal, but we really want to wait to get back home and celebrate with the fans. Of course we're going to go out, have a good time, but we're definitely going to be safe.
That's awesome, man. Hey, congratulations. A huge win, dude. Happy for you guys. Keep it going.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yep.